This is a presentation by AutTV. In this video, I am going to be addressing directly the actor who goes by the name of Hugo Weaving. I mean, you can say, 20 million people went out and watched this film with Hugo Weaving in it. That only leaves about 7.5 billion people who've got no idea who he is. So for those of you who don't know who Hugo Weaving is, this image from The Dressmaker might be of help, I don't know. More importantly, Mr. Weaving lent his considerably valuable time and resources to a video that is titled Living with Autism, Kai's Story. Now, I don't know this person Kai at all. I don't know what, I don't know anything about him, but there are 4 specific reasons why the video bearing Kai's name is offensive. The title is offensive. However, I'm not going to start. I normally, as soon as someone uses separationist language, I jump straight down their throat and explain to them why separationist language is offensive. I'm not going to do that today. In my previous video, I didn't do that either. I started with a very basic and inescapable factoid about what is basically Mr. Weaving's video. And, well, yeah, that's basically it. Mr. Weaving speaks non-stop throughout this video. He's there blah, 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 blahing. Autism this, autism that, or blah, 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 blah. And it's all about, we're affected by autism, everybody else is affected by autism. Kai gets a total of 16 words, if that, in this video. And, well, yes, Mr. Weaving, now we're going to talk about something called erasure. Erasure is when you purport to tell the story of an individual, regardless of whether they can speak for themselves or not. You're standing there, blah, 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 blahing about them in front of them, or not in front of them, as the case may be. I mean, with international television being what it is, you don't have to be physically in front of someone to be in front of them anyway. But the erasure is when you talk about someone non-stop and never give them a chance to speak up for themselves. And that is what Hugo Weaving does in this so-called Living with Autism video. For example, if I were to make a video in which I talk about how I'm affected by epilepsy, everybody around me is affected by epilepsy, we should get rid of epileptic people, epilepsy should be eradicated, blah, 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 blah. If I did that, Hugo would be within his rights to come and kick my ass, because I don't have epilepsy. As far as I've been tested for temporal lobe epilepsy. I've had, they've put my brain under the scanner and found no evidence of epilepsy. But what Mr. Weaving does in this video, he calls Living with Autism, is to effectively is exactly the same thing as if I were to make a video saying epilepsy this, epilepsy that, blah, 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 and not let an actual epileptic person speak. I could stop right there and just leave this video like this, and say nothing more. And unfortunately, normies don't get it. They don't get it. Contrary to what a lot of fearmongers will try to tell you, number one, it is difficult, if not impossible, to estimate the number of autistic people there are in the world. Number two, there is no evidence whatsoever to assume that the per capita amount of people in the world who are autistic has changed. It's been 1 in 150 since Odin knows when, and based on the complete absence of evidence that the Center for Disease Control in America, or an entity that has no business whatsoever saying anything about autism, when you stop listening to scaremongers and actually start listening to autistic people, there is no reason whatever to believe that there are any more than 55 million autistic people in the world. 55 million and change. Now, help me out here, Mr. Weaving. Out of 55 and change million, how many do you really believe that every single one of them is going to be incapable of speaking their own piece to a camera about their own rights, basically? There are people in the world, such as myself, for example, who are autistic and write reams and reams and reams of words that could be published in a matter of 18 months, matter of 2 years maybe, whatever. There are people who are autistic and they're already in the acting profession or whatever. It doesn't matter. What matters is that Hugo Weaving has essentially taken autistic voices and silenced them out and shoved his voice into their place. And quite frankly, I am more than a little disturbed that an organisation, well, they call themselves Autism Queensland. I think that pretty much speaks for itself. I mean, you can trust an Australian to kick you when you're down. You can trust an Australian to cut off a person's legs and then drag them across the concrete. But I apologise in advance to the one Queenslander I've met face to face whom I wouldn't kill, but quite frankly, there's Australians and then there's Queenslanders. And Mr. Weaving, your video only confirms this for me. Thank you very much. Stop erasing us. Let us speak with our own voices. That's the minimum you need to do in order to make up for this video you've made. Thank you.